story revolves around the protagonist Kaito Takagi, an ordinary high school student living a quiet life. He spends his days exploring dungeons in Japan, hunting slimes to earn some extra cash. One day, a rare golden slime appears, and after Kaito defeats it, he finds a very valuable item, a card that can summon mythical beings. Kaito decides to use it and summons a stunning warrior maiden. Now Kaito has a chance to rise above his ordinary explorer life. Get ready for a modern fantasy story filled with battles? Our story begins today with this new anime when that beautiful boy named Takagi was in the dungeon, and it seems he was killing some creatures to gain a lot of energy. Suddenly, a slime appeared in front of him. He used the deadly spray and killed it instantly. Takagi had spent 2 years in the abyss, doing nothing but hunting slimes. He had killed 999, with just one more to reach 1,000. Despite this, he was still the lowest ranked among the Takagi continued on his way, but was surprised by a golden slime, a perfect opponent to complete his 1,000 kills. He approached it cautiously and sprayed it, but it escaped. However, he used the deadly mobile cannon and defeated it instantly. To his surprise, his level did not change despite the rarity of the golden slime. He then approached its core and found a picture of a girl on it. Upon examining her identity, he discovered she was classified as a Valkyrie, and her name was Sylvie. It seemed this was a servant card. He looked around to see if anyone was watching him, and when he was sure he was safe, he said, "Thank God, I won't give it to anyone since it belongs to me now." He took out his cell phone to find information about the servant, but unfortunately, there was no official database information on Sylvie. When he searched for the Valkyrie class, he found it was legendary, meaning this card was extremely rare. Takagi exited the gate and met his powerful companions, wishing he could own armor and weapons like them someday. If he sold the card at a high price, it would bring him a fortune. The scene shifted to Takagi visiting a girl who buys and appraises goods. He went to her to sell some cores, 3 slime cores in total, worth 1,500. He said to her, "All right, dear, put it in my bank account." Then he asked her, let's say I got a rare servant card that summons an angel, for example. How much could that card sell for? She replied, "Well, my friend, that's just a rumor, but I've heard those rare cards can sell for 1,000,000,000 yen. Takagi was astonished and left, talking to himself, saying, a billion, I will become a millionaire." He walked through the streets, still talking to himself about the 1,000,000,000 yen. It seemed someone was watching him specifically. Then he met his friends Shinji and Hayato, who said to him, "What's wrong, my friend? You seem completely lost." He replied, "No, my friends, I'm fine. I didn't sleep well last night. They said, all right, we have an explorer entry card to this place, so we can enter the tourist area for free at any time." They then boarded the high-speed metro just as the sun was setting. During the ride, his friends learned that Takagi was still at level 3 and had only been killing slimes. He asked them why they no longer ventured into the dungeons. His friend replied, "I don't want to. Do you remember how we went straight to the 2nd floor the first time we entered the abyss? Do you remember what happened when we encountered that big green goblin? We thought it would be easy, but it was incredibly strong and beat us up badly. It was a terrible experience, one like we'd never had before. We recovered thanks to God's grace first and then the healing potions, but that beating was enough for me. It's been almost 2 years since then. But I'm surprised at you, Takagi, that you haven't gotten tired of killing slimes. Are you that obsessed with them?" Takagi replied, "No, my friends, I'm not obsessed with them exactly, but I have my reasons." Finally, in the evening, precisely at 10:00 p.m., Takagi arrived home. He went inside and had dinner with his father and mother. His mother asked him about his studies, and Takagi assured her that everything was fine. He then went to take a bath, and while sitting in the bathtub, he thought about what to do with the servant card. He didn't know if summoning her would make him stronger and allow him to explore deeper levels. But if he had 1,000,000,000 yen, he could buy the gear and weapons. He wanted and also buy many games and a mansion with a big pool. The next morning, Takagi left his house to go to school. He met his classmate and neighbor, Katsuragi. He greeted her and took her along to school. On their way, they talked about school news and the recently colder weather. Katsuragi mentioned that she saw him returning home last night and asked where he had been. Takagi became nervous because he didn't want to tell her he had gone to the abyss. He said he was exploring the city with his friends, Aoyama and Mizutani. Suddenly, he saw them ahead and hurried to them, begging them not to tell Katsuragi he had been in the abyss last night. Katsuragi asked them where they'd gone last night, and each of the three gave a different answer. This made Katsuragi suspicious, so she asked Takagi again if he had gone to the abyss. Takagi assured her he had not. Katsuragi then suggested they hurry to school so they wouldn't be late for their classes. They all went to school, and Takagi sat with his friends, Aoyama and Mizutani, asking them what they would do if they got a rare servant card. Aoyama replied that he would sell it immediately because such cards were worth hundreds of millions of yen. There was no need to summon servants unless they were inside the dungeons, so selling it was the best option. Takagi found this idea convincing and started considering selling it. The teacher then began the lesson, explaining that humanity was born about 5 million years ago, and around 1 million years ago, our ancestors left the African continent. Takagi zoned out during the lesson, thinking about the servant card. He knew that once he summoned Sylvie, he wouldn't be able to sell the card anymore, and was unsure if summoning her would be beneficial. After class, Takagi went to the abyss, walking until he reached a place without any cameras. He took out the servant card and summoned Sylvie for Katsuragi. Sylvie appeared massive in size and hugged Takagi tightly, making him very scared. But this situation only lasted a few moments. When Takagi opened his eyes, he saw a small girl talking to him, saying she was Sylvie. Takagi was shocked by her small size and bid farewell in his mind to the gear, weapons, games, and mansion with a pool he had hoped to buy with the card. Sylvie asked him if something was bothering him. Takagi replied, "No, there's nothing wrong. You will come with me and hunt slimes with your older brother." Sylvie sensed a nearby slime, and they quickly moved towards it. Takagi wanted to kill it himself, but asked Sylvie if she wanted to defeat it. She agreed, used her magic, and struck with incredible force. Takagi was amazed, saying, "That was a 170-point attack, 17 times stronger than mine. You're very powerful." Sylvie started crying, saying she was so hungry she felt like she might collapse. She then saw the magic core and asked Takagi if she could eat it. He had heard that servants consumed cores, so he let her eat it. Sylvie was overjoyed and thanked Takagi, saying she felt much better. She sensed more slimes nearby, and they ran towards them. Takagi asked her if she could sense the locations of slimes and other monsters and use her abilities to defeat them when she was hungry and needed to consume the cores. She confirmed she could do all that. Takagi thought to himself that he could use her to find and defeat many slimes, but it would consume the cores, leaving him with zero profit. He was glad she was strong, though. Takagi then asked Sylvie where the slimes were, and she happily said, "Trust me, I will find them." They continued hunting slimes, and Takagi's level increased to level 4. A warning appeared on his screen, stating that Slime Killer grants specialists in slime hunting a 50 increase in all stats while fighting slimes. He was disappointed, thinking, "What's the use of boosted stats for fighting slimes?" Sylvie told him that just having such an ability was amazing, and she was impressed. Takagi replied, "That's enough for today." Sylvie was sad, asking if he would summon her again soon. He promised her, "Yes, I will summon you again." Then he used the card, and she returned to it. The scene then shifts to Hitsugaya, who is astonished, saying, "You collected all these magic cores in one day." Takagi replied, "I was lucky and encountered many slimes. Luck was really on my side." She told him, "You've set a new record for killing slimes in one day. You will be awarded 15,000 yen. The scene then transitions to Takagi in his room, lying on his bed and thinking about Sylvie. He said to himself she was very strong. "We can go down to the second floor together, but I'm afraid of facing the goblins." Takagi dreamed of himself as a child, watching TV and listening to Commander Katsuragi talk about the abyss and how he explored it. Katsuragi said he intended to delve deeper and uncover its secrets and his true identity. He faced the abyss with unbelievable courage and wisdom. Takagi woke up from his dream, feeling very excited. He wanted to go back there and take Sylvie with him. He asked her, "Are you ready?" She replied, "Yes, I'm very excited because this is my first time on the second floor. Let's do our best. We will delve deeper into the next floors and discover the secrets of the abyss. One day I'll become a hero like Commander Katsuragi." Thus ends today's episode of this anime. Stay tuned for the next episode, so don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates. The second episode of this anime begins with a boy and a girl exploring the entrances of the abyss. They were amazed and wondered if the dungeons had appeared all over the world. They decided they needed to uncover the truth about these dungeons. It is then revealed that they are part of a special dungeon exploration team, composed of firefighters, police officers, adventurers, fighters, martial artists, hunters, architects, historians, biologists, and more. They are a powerful elite force. As they dealt with some monsters that suddenly appeared, the boy and his sister descended deeper into the abyss. They needed to delve further to uncover the secrets of this massive dungeon. His sister suggested opening the fully explored floor to the public, turning it into an amusement park so many explorers could visit. At that moment, a giant monster attacked them, hitting him hard and knocking him out instantly. His sister quickly administered a small dose of medicine or antidote to help him regain his senses. We then return to the anime's main character, Takagi, and the fairy Sylvie he summoned. Takagi was exhausted, and Sylvie asked him, "Are you all right, my lord? Your face is pale and you're struggling to catch your breath." Takagi replied, "I'm fine," but it was clear he wasn't. His legs were trembling with fear. Sylvie reassured him, holding his hand to calm him down a bit. He thanked her for that. They then descended to the second floor. Takagi told her he had only been here once, 2 years ago, and there were reports of goblins in the area, particularly around the corner. When Sylvie looked to the side, she saw that her master had already run away. However, he suddenly stopped as he remembered his role model, whom he aspired to be like. He slapped himself, trying to motivate himself. They approached the sleeping monster, and when Sylvie was about to defeat it, Takagi stepped in front of her, saying, "I need to strike it myself," though he was trembling with fear. He struck, but hit the ground instead. The monster attacked him, but Takagi evaded it with his shield and knocked it down. As the monster rose to attack, Takagi used an insecticide spray to blind it, then grabbed his staff. This was his only chance to defeat it, but he stumbled on a stone. Luckily, the staff hit the monster's belly, killing it. Sylvie clapped and said, "You were amazing, my lord." But Takagi cried, unable to believe he had killed the monster by himself. He was overjoyed with his victory, and his level increased to level 5. Takagi wondered how killing 1,000 slimes hadn't leveled him up, but defeating this one goblin had. He discovered his new skill, Goblin Slayer, which is granted to those who overcome their fear of dying at the hands of goblins by defeating one alone. This skill increased all his stats by 50 when fighting goblins. However, it was a temporary skill due to the random nature of the victory, reducing its effectiveness. Takagi thought, "I don't know whether to be happy or not, but at least I won. Thank God. Let's continue our journey." At that moment, another monster attacked them, but Sylvie used an ice wall to block it and they defeated it. Another monster attacked, and they took it down as well. Takagi asked Sylvie if they could explore the abyss together. They wandered together until a goblin appeared in front of them. The goblin attacked Takagi, who tried to fend off its blows. Sylvie helped by using her lightning magic, and they managed to defeat the monster. Sylvie then ate the stone that emerged from the goblin to increase her power. Afterward, Takagi went to Hitsugaya to tell her what had happened. Hitsugaya was surprised because it was the first time Takagi had managed to kill such a monster. He told her he had done it and that he had tried to go to the second floor that day, collecting 4 stones during his first visit. Later, we see Takagi at home, lying on his bed. His mother tried to wake him up, but he told her he was very tired and couldn't move. She advised him not to overwork himself and left him to rest a bit longer. After some time, Takagi woke up to go to school. Katsuragi met him and noticed how exhausted he was, suspecting he had gone to the abyss again. She asked him once more, but he kept denying it. She asked why he was so tired, and after thinking for a moment, he told her he had been training hard because he wanted to be like Schwarzenegger. Katsuragi was surprised by his answer, as she never thought that physique would suit him. She chose not to exaggerate the matter and remained silent. When they arrived at school, they saw some girls talking about a new movie being made about the Dan brothers who went to the abyss. This movie was set to be released next summer. Hearing them talk about the abyss made Takagi very nervous. He then told his friends he had managed to kill some goblins in the abyss. They were very surprised, especially since they knew he had only been hunting slimes until recently. His friend couldn't believe it and found it incredibly impressive. Takagi explained that he had pushed himself harder and now felt a bit more confident and motivated. He was considering venturing deeper into the abyss. Takagi then returned to the abyss and met Sylvie there. They decided to continue on this path and give their best effort. Together, they did an excellent job killing many monsters. Takagi returned home to rest and went back to the abyss the next day, continuing to kill monsters while Sylvie kept eating the stones left behind. Then we see Takagi in class, extremely tired and unable to concentrate on any lesson. When Katsuragi sees him in this state, she becomes very worried. Later, Takagi goes to the abyss to continue his battles with the monsters and goblins. As the battles increase, Takagi's strength grows, and he reaches level 10. Takagi notices a significant increase in health points and power points and gains a blessing. This blessing, given to those who work hard, increases the stats gained when left. Takagi realizes this is an incredible skill and is very happy about it. He then understands that this skill is linked to Sylvie, so he treats her with great respect and tells her it is an honor to work with her. Sylvie replies that she is there to serve him. Both are very happy to be working together. Later, Takagi encounters a glowing skeleton. Sylvie tells him it might be a rare monster. Takagi decides to attack it with all his might to kill it. Sylvie uses her magic to help him, but they cannot kill the skeleton with Takagi's tungsten staff. Sylvie then uses another power, a lightning strike, to kill the skeleton. Takagi is thrilled and hopeful because the rare monster dropped a magic core that is somewhat red. Sylvie tries to talk to Takagi, and he understands that she is hungry and wants to eat the magic core from the skeleton. He agrees to give it to her since she used 2 skills that day. Sylvie eats the core happily, but Takagi is worried because it is a valuable core. Takagi speaks to himself, realizing that the core is very precious. The scene then shifts to Hitsugaya, who tells him that the core is worth 1,000,000 yen. If it were a red magic core, its value would be over 2,000,000 yen. She points out that although he lost the core, he found a rare glowing skeleton, which he might encounter again someday. Takagi is shocked and very sad, crying. Because the cores were worth 2,000,000 yen, however, he acknowledges that Sylvie helped him find and defeat many monsters and deserved the reward. He also leveled up, which was a significant achievement. I used to be an ordinary person, but I can go to the 3rd floor. Starting from the 3rd floor, monsters sometimes appear in groups. After that, the scene transitions to Daima's on the 3rd floor, where Takagi is talking to Sylvie, saying, "I will fight for a while." She responds by asking, "Did I do something wrong, or do you not want to help me?" He tells her that he is considering going to the 3rd floor, but at this rate, he will become completely dependent on her. He wants to become stronger so that he is not a burden. Sylvie replies that he will never be a burden to her. "I should have expected you to think this way," she said. He tells her, "I trust you a lot and consider you more like a sister I can rely on rather than a servant, so I will call you Syl." Sylvie is very happy with his words and thanks him because he makes her happy. "I can't believe I have a master who cares about me as much as you do," she says. During their conversation, Sylvie senses a monster approaching them. Takagi tells Sylvie, "Watch this. I will defeat it myself," and he rushes towards the monster. After that, we see Takagi with many injuries on his face and hands. Hitsugaya tells him, "You shouldn't overdo it." Takagi asks her to buy a potion. Takagi sadly says, "I spent a lot of the money I saved. Even low-level potions are expensive, but I was going to the 3rd floor. I want to get more potions and other equipment. I want to store magic cores for Syl to consume." The next day, we see them in Dima's, where Takagi kills many monsters, and Sylvie helps him find them. Takagi gathers many magic cores, saying, "I have enough to buy equipment, and you can eat some now." Sylvie tells him that it's time to try the 3rd floor. Sylvie senses something strange nearby, so they go to see what it is. It's a silver slime. Takagi tells her, "Let's start with the old dual attack." Sylvie attacks and uses her power to kill the slime, and a card comes out of it. It's a demon summoning card. Takagi wonders if it is safe to summon a demon. "I will have 2 with me, and summoning them both is a dream of mine," he says. He summons it, and it comes out of the card, and they are very surprised by it. This is how today's episode of this anime ends. Stay tuned for the upcoming episode, so don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all the new updates. Our episode begins with Takagi and Sylvie standing before the girl Luceria. Takagi asks her, "Who are you?" She replies, "I am Luceria, a demon of Viscount rank." Takagi is startled and says to her, "What a stunningly beautiful woman you are." She then asks him, "Are you my master?" He responds, "Yes, I am Takagi Kaito." She remarks that he clearly seems untrustworthy as a master and also stupid. Sylvie interjects, "It's inappropriate to speak to our master in that manner." Luceria asks, "Who is this girl?" Takagi tells her that her name is Sylvie. Luceria looks at Sylvie and comments that she appears to be one of the Valkyrie warriors. Sylvie confirms this, saying she is indeed a Valkyrie and also Takagi's servant, like Luceria. They then greet each other. Luceria extends her hands towards Takagi and tells him she is hungry. Suddenly, Sylvie informs them that there is a slime nearby. Luceria steps forward, uses her flaming spear, unleashes fire, and defeats the slime. Takagi realizes that she has 130 power points. She takes the core that came out of the slime and eats it, then asks for more. Takagi tells her she cannot ask for more without killing more slimes. She calls him a very stingy master. Takagi tells her that if she uses the burning breath spell to kill another monster, he will give her a magic core. Then we see a monster attacking Luceria. She uses her burning breath magic and easily kills the monster. Takagi and Sylvie are amazed by her power. The monster drops a gem and Luceria eats it too. She asks Takagi to go to a deeper area with more monsters, as the cores of stronger monsters taste better. Takagi tells her that once she reaches the 3rd level, monsters will start appearing in groups, so they will need new weapons and other items. He asks her to go tomorrow because she is tired now. She agrees. The next day, they reach the 3rd level, and we see that Takagi has bought a new weapon. Suddenly, hellhounds appear, and as Takagi decides to attack, the dogs see him and quickly charge at him. However, Sylvie uses her protection shield, and Luceria uses her flaming spear to unleash fire on the dogs, defeating them. Luceria then eats the blue core that came out of the dog, and asks Takagi to give her the other core as well since they defeated 2 hellhounds. Takagi refuses and tells her he will give her more once they defeat more monsters. Suddenly, 2 wild boars appear. Luceria uses hellfire, and the boars catch fire but emerge unscathed. Takagi then uses his new weapon to hit one of the boars in the eye, but it doesn't affect it either. As the boar charges at them, Takagi fires another shot from his gun into the boar's eye, killing it. Sylvie tells him he's amazing. Takagi sees on his electronic screen that he has reached level 11. He looks at Luceria and thinks to himself that their spoils were small because Luceria kept asking for more cores. The scene then shifts to Takagi at school with his friends. Takagi remembers overhearing some adventurers talking about reaching the 6th level of Daimas, which is very dangerous. Takagi smiles, and one of his friends asks him why he is laughing and if he has anything to worry about, mentioning that his grades aren't good enough to get into the school he wants. Takagi tells him he hasn't thought about it yet. Then the girl Katsuragi appears and asks if they are talking about the school they want to join. Takagi asks her which school she wants to join. She tells him she wants to get into UK Academy. Takagi says he wants to go there too. One of her friends calls her to help distribute papers. We then see flashbacks of Takagi's adventures with the girls. Luceria was always asking for more cores to eat, while Sylvie always avoided her. Takagi wondered why Sylvie did that. Returning to the present, we see Takagi stepping out of the bathroom. He notices his sister watching an adventure show where the master's servants are fighting over him. Takagi imagines Sylvie and Luceria also fighting and attacking each other. He becomes worried and thinks, "What should I do now?" This is a disaster. His sister asks him if he's okay. Next, we see Takagi walking to school and meeting Katsuragi on the way. She greets him and notices he didn't sleep well last night. She asks what's bothering him, and Takagi explains that Shinji and Hayato have become close to 2 very different girls, and he's trying to find a way for everyone to get along. The scene then shifts to Takagi and Sylvie and Dimas. Sylvie asks where Luceria is. Takagi tells her he wants to talk to her privately about something concerning Luceria and asks for her opinion of her. Sylvie asks what he means. Takagi explains that he feels Sylvie doesn't like Luceria at all and wants to speak openly about it. Sylvie clarifies that it's not like that. At first she thought Luceria was a bad girl, but then Luceria explained she meant no harm and became kind. Now Sylvie likes her a lot. Takagi asks if she is worried about anything else since it's very important to him. Sylvie assures him there's nothing else troubling her. Takagi tells her that if anything bothers her, she should let him know immediately. Sylvie then admits there is one thing. She feels that Takagi is too nice to Luceria all the time. Sylvie then tells him that she wishes he would treat her the same way. Takagi responds, "My dear, it's not like that. I treat her normally." Sylvie insists, "No, you do. Recently, Luceria has been getting more magical cores. Before she came, you used to give me more cores and spend more time talking to me. I want you to talk to me more, not just to Luceria." Takagi is surprised and thinks to himself that she must be jealous of Luceria. He then says, "I'm very sorry. From now on, I'll give both of you the same number of cores and also talk to you more." Sylvie is very happy to hear this. From that moment on, Takagi treated both of them equally, but both Sylvie and Luceria were still jealous of each other. Takagi was very careful to encourage both of them so that neither would be upset. At that moment, the wild boar appears again. Sylvie uses her power against it, leveling up significantly. She is very happy and says, "This is great." Then they encounter some wild dogs. Takagi tells Sylvie, "Come on, Sylvie, show me your strength now that you've leveled up." She uses her super strike and defeats 3 monsters in one hit. After that, a massive boar attacks her, and she uses her Iron Wall ability, which now lasts much longer after her level up. Takagi then uses his bow and takes down the boar. Takagi gives 2 magical cores to Sylvie and gives nothing to Luceria since she didn't do anything today. Sylvie takes the cores and eats them, looking very pleased. Takagi then notices Luceria looking downcast and asks her what she wants. She says, "I'm hungry and want another core." Takagi feels sad. While Sylvie's strength has increased, so has her appetite. Later, Takagi goes to the girl who buys magical cores from him. She asks, "What's wrong, Takagi? You've been bringing fewer magical cores lately." He is unable to answer her. Then the scene shifts to the dungeon where Takagi uses lethal insecticide and kills more creatures. This is monster number 25 for him alone. He doesn't want anyone's help so they don't eat his slime seeds, thus finding nothing to sell. "We'll support you with cheers." Takagi then goes to the librarian girl who buys from him, and she says, "Now you only bring slime cores." He decides to return to the first floor. He searches on the computer and wishes to buy a new shield, but finds a full suit of carbon nanotube pipes, which is too expensive at 500,000 yen. Now he needs to lie more to get a lot of money. Then the scene moves to the dungeon. They find a special type of slime, so Seal and Luceria quickly act using their superpowers. When approaching, their leader finds something strange. It's a magic ball. Takagi grabs it and rejoices, saying, "I won't sell this. I'll use it on rats. Now I can become a wizard." He strikes it hard on the ground and gains items like Demon Slayer, Divine Blessing, and Water Ball. Then finds that wild dog. Seal uses the Virgin Ice Wall, while her master uses the Water Ball, hitting the dog without harm. The dog attacks strongly, but Luceria uses her power and time and kills it. He says, "What happened? Is my magic power so weak?" Seal encourages him, saying, "No, dear, just the ability to use magic is impressive. I'm sure it'll get stronger with practice. It just needs some time." Then the scene shifts to the night when Takagi was sitting in the garden, looking very sad. Then Kitsuragi enters and asks him, "Why are you sitting at this hour?" He replies, "Magic, weak magic." She asked him, "What magic? What kind of magic is this?" He was surprised and got up from his seat, saying to her, No, I mean the movie Princess Prison magic." "Yes, I watched Princess Prison with my friends. It wasn't as good as I expected." She asked him how that could be, despite its excellent ratings. Takagi was surprised and said, "Come on, let's go back home." He seemed to be lying a lot, and as they were on their way, she told him she was on her way back from prep school. Then he took her home and left, but she seemed very angry. He stood there and wondered, could she be jealous like Sylvie? No, that couldn't be true. But more importantly, what should he do about that weak spell? "I wish I had sold that ball and gotten a lot of money, but I regret it now when it's too late." And thus our episode ends today. Stay tuned for the next episode with a very powerful monster they've never encountered before. But before you go, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episode. The episode begins with Takagi using water ball magic slowly to destroy a wall, but it doesn't work, and he feels exhausted. He then uses water ball magic again, but this time quickly and finds it more effective, but he is completely worn out and collapses to the ground and falls asleep. He then remembers the past when he said he would become a hero like the commander when he grows up. We return to the present the next day, where we see everyone in the training grounds, and Takagi tries to use more water ball magic. Everyone sees that his skill has improved and become faster, but he gets tired and falls to the ground. However, he doesn't give up and tries to form a cube from the water ball. Succeeding in that, Sylvie is very happy and encourages him, telling Lucilla that his situation is not entirely hopeless. Then we see Takagi trying to change the shape of the water ball into other forms, succeeding in that but becoming completely exhausted. The scene then shifts to Takagi leaving, visibly tired, and while walking he collapses from exhaustion and sees 3 girls in front of him. One of the girls asks if he is okay as he doesn't look well at all. He tells her he is fine and leaves them and walks away. One of the girls comments that some people are very strange, and Hikari tells them that they should learn from them but need to work hard and try harder. They then decide to go defeat more monsters. The scene shifts to the school, and we see Takagi sleeping in class from exhaustion. The teacher stands in front of him and wakes him up. Takagi wakes up quickly and apologizes profusely. After class ends, Takagi's friends approach him and ask if he has been training. He tells them that there is a very important skill in the training grounds that he needs to learn, and he is working on that during this period, which is why he is completely exhausted. Then Haruka approaches them and asks if he is training in the training grounds, making Takagi very nervous, and he tells her no, he is practicing dancing. The girl tells him not to overexert himself with sports training and hopes to see him dance someday. Then she leaves. The scene then shifts to Takagi in the training grounds, launching a water ball at a monster and defeating it. The girls tell him he is amazing. An electronic screen appears in front of Takagi, and he tells them that his level hasn't increased and he no longer gains experience from the monsters on the 3rd floor. Therefore, he must move to the 4th floor. He talks to himself, saying that if he does so, he will be able to buy the awesome suit he saw online. Suddenly, we see Takagi wearing a new black suit. One of the girls tells him that the suit is silly, which irritates Takagi. He tells her that the suit is expensive, made from carbon nanotubes that will protect his entire body. If he is attacked, it won't affect him, and no arrow can penetrate it. Additionally, the bracelet on his wrist enhances the effectiveness of spells, making his weak spells seem somewhat powerful. Sylvie tells him he is very clever, but Lucilla angrily says he should have tried it first before buying it. They then reach the 4th floor and start searching for monsters. Sylvie mentions that she feels something bad around them. It's very big and sends shivers down her spine. Suddenly, a huge cockroach appears, scaring the girls, and they start casting spells. When Takagi approaches them and asks why they did that, Lucilla tells him that demons are not afraid of insects. Sylvie apologizes profusely for attacking the cockroach and leaving Takagi alone. She tells him she is willing to accept any punishment he imposes on her. Takagi responds that he wasn't angry. Thanks to them, they reached the 5th floor in no time, and they also collected all these cores. When Lucilla sees them, she is disgusted and tells Takagi she won't eat them. But she ends up eating them anyway, despite knowing they will be disgusting. After that, Takagi asks him to go and explore the 5th floor. Then he asks Syl if there are any monsters around them. She pauses for a moment, then tells him there are 2 in that direction. Takagi aims his weapon at them and shoots his arrows, but nothing happens to them. The monsters retaliate, so Syl uses the Iron Wall Maiden spell, creating a barrier to protect Takagi from any attacks since physical attacks are ineffective against the monsters. Takagi then asks for help from Lucilla, who uses the Hellfire Destruction spell to defeat the monsters. Takagi is shocked that Syl and Lucilla were the ones able to kill these monsters. Realizing that if the monsters are immune to physical attacks, he will have to rely entirely on Syl and Lucilla. He asks if they can continue. Lucilla angrily responds that she doesn't want to eat more of those disgusting cores because they taste terrible. He decides to call it a day and continue exploring the training grounds. Syl stands in front of a wall and tells Takagi she feels something strange about the place. Takagi looks at the wall and tells her it looks like an ordinary wall to him. Syl responds that she senses a strange mana coming from inside. Takagi asks Lucilla if she feels the same thing, but Lucilla replies that there is nothing there. Takagi approaches the wall to inspect it, but sees nothing unusual. Syl asks him to leave it to her and uses the lightning strike spell, breaking down the wall to reveal a hidden passageway. Lucilla gets very scared, worried that they might get into trouble for damaging property. Takagi reassures her and asks them to be extremely cautious since it's a hidden area, which might have traps like pressure plates under their feet. Just as Takagi finishes speaking, Lucilla accidentally steps on a pressure plate, triggering an arrow to shoot out from the wall towards her. Takagi rushes to save Lucilla, taking the arrow into his own abdomen. Sil and Lucilla then heal him, and he tells them that hidden training grounds are always full of tricks and they need to watch their steps to avoid any further harm. Before he can finish his sentence, Lucilla accidentally steps on another pressure plate, and another arrow shoots out. Takagi rushes to her, but Sil saves him using an electric shock. They continue to explore the training grounds and come across a door. Sil tells Takagi that she senses something strange coming from behind it. Takagi, feeling anxious, suggests they go home because he thinks they might not be able to handle whatever is behind the door. Sil and Lucilla refuse to go back. Takagi approaches the door to try and open it, but finds it won't open without some kind of key. Sil then asks him to let her handle it. She uses her power to break down the door, hoping no one will ask her to pay for the damages later. They enter a dark room and see very powerful monsters inside. They are unsure of what to do, as they cannot escape. Takagi tells them that they will defeat the ogre first. Sil and Lucilla team up to attack it, but the ogre takes no damage. It then charges at them, and Sil uses her barrier spell to prevent the monster from getting close. Takagi explains to Sil that if magic isn't working, then physical attacks are their only option and they can still win. He draws his weapon to strike, but the ogre hits him instead. However, the barrier protects them from the blows. Lucilla urges Takagi to hurry and defeat the strange creature, as it is resistant to magic and cannot be defeated with spells. Takagi uses his water ball magic against the monster, but the spell freezes, which he thinks might be due to the bracelet. He contemplates that he can use it to his advantage. Sil attacks the ogre as well, but it doesn't seem to affect it. She tells Takagi that the ogre is extremely strong. Takagi responds that he has 3 more shots left and will use up all his mana. He needs to make his attack stronger in another way. He uses his power again and successfully hits the monster in the eyes and then in the head. Takagi is thrilled as he defeats the ogre, saying that only the slime remains. Next, we see Lucilla fighting the slime. Takagi goes to help her and strikes the slime, then asks Sil to use her divine spear, Rejonen, while he slows the slime down. Sil attacks the slime with the spear and kills it. Takagi looks at the slime and sees that its health points aren't decreasing. He wants to flee but remembers Commander Katsuragi's words and tells himself that they can't give up and that he will become a hero. He rushes to the slime and uses his bottles on it, but they run out before the slime dies. He retrieves more bottles and sprays them on the slime, causing its health points to drop and eventually defeating it. They are overjoyed with their success, and Takagi and Lucilla level up. Takagi notes that he is now ranked among the dedicated explorers. Sil asks him to collect the magical cores. Takagi finds a rare red magical core, which is very valuable and could sell for a high price. He also discovers a magical sword, which is a rare item as well. The scene shifts to Eren, who asks about the red magical core and where he found it. Takagi replies that he found a hidden training ground on the 5th floor and defeated a monster that resembled a boss inside. Eren tells him that she will have someone verify it and that this is a rare magical core, so they can offer him a high price for it. She also asks if he wants to participate in an event taking place next week, where explorers will form teams to investigate the 7th floor and spend some time together. Takagi agrees to participate. We then see Takagi at school talking to his friends, saying that he is currently securing the 6th floor so he can attend the event. He explains that once he secures the 6th floor, he can teleport directly there from the entrance, which is why he is determined to achieve this. He mentions that it will be his first time teaming up with someone other than them. A girl comes up and asks if this is a dance team. His friends are surprised, and one of them replies that he hopes to have her join them someday. The girl responds that she wants to be invited when they go and leaves. Takagi then says he needs to take dance lessons. Later, Takagi arrives at the event location and is amazed by the large crowd. Eren speaks to him, saying that he is now part of their team, and they start introducing themselves to each other. The episode ends here. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes, and don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates. The episode begins with Haruka and her father early in the morning when she was young. Her father was going to work, and she asked him to come home as soon as possible. He promised her that he would come home at night and they would have dinner together. Then we shift to Haruka as an adult, waking up in the morning to go to school. Her mother asked if she was going to see Yumi, and Haruka replied that they would be studying together that day. As Haruka leaves the house, she thinks about Takagi, wondering if he has dance training today or if he is training at the gym. Next, we see Takagi with his friends Eri, Hikarin, and Moriyama forming a team, ready to enter the Daimas and explore it. They take the teleportation gate to the 6th floor. Takagi was very nervous because it was his second time using the teleportation gate. The first time was the other day when he returned to the roof. Eri told him that she was nervous too. While they were wandering, a guard stopped them and told them that the stairs to the 7th floor were this way. The event was scheduled to last 3 hours. Eri asked her friends if they wanted to buy anything before going down, as there was a small shop next to the teleportation gate, which was very convenient. Takagi replied that he had brought a lot of stuff, unlike them, who didn't have enough equipment. Eri responded that they had this magic bag where they put everything they owned. Hikarin added that she also had one, and Moriyama said she had one too. Takagi was amazed because one could buy an apartment for the price of these things. They explained that their parents had bought them these bags. Takagi was even more surprised to learn they all came from wealthy families. Eri then commented that he seemed to have a lot of equipment too. Takagi replied that he had been collecting things here and there since he was young, and now he could finally buy things after putting in a lot of effort selling nuts. Then, Eri pulls out her long sword from the magic bag, and everyone heads to the 7th floor. As they wander on the 7th floor, Takagi asks about the monsters that appear there. Hikarin responds that she thinks there are goblins here. Suddenly, they see people approaching from afar and assume they are goblins, but it turns out they are janitors who maintain the cleanliness of the Daimas. Takagi and his friends greet them. Afterward, Takagi asks them about their combat levels. Eri replies that she is at level 18. Hikarin is at level 15, and Moriyama is also at level 15. But Hikarin has 75 mana points. Takagi is shocked because that's double what he has. Suddenly, a goblin forms in front of them from scattered stones. Eri decides to take the lead and positions herself in front, asking Hikarin to prepare to cast spells, while Miko protects Hikarin. Takagi asks what he should do, and Eri tells him that he will protect quickly. Eri charges at the monster to fight it, continuously delivering powerful blows that don't seem to affect it. On the final strike, she cuts the goblin in half, surprising Takagi with her strength, as he couldn't even get close to it. Hikarin is very happy about her friend's strength. After that, a new enemy appears, a bronze goblin. Hikarin uses her fire spells, and Miko summons her small cat-like monster companion to attack the goblin, but these attacks don't affect it. Eri gets worried and looks towards Hikarin, who is still casting spells. Suddenly, Hikarin hits the goblin with a massive fireball, causing it to melt and die. Takagi is thrilled with his friend's power and tells them they are truly amazing. Suddenly, another goblin, made of iron, appears behind Moriyama and Hikarin. Takagi shoots it with his arrows. But it's a very strong goblin. Eri rushes towards it with all her strength to strike it with her large sword, but it has no effect. Hikarin then casts a lightning spell at it, but it also does nothing. Moriyama sends her pet, Snatch, to attack it, but the goblin strikes Snatch, knocking it to the ground. Seeing what's happening, Takagi decides to summon C and Luceria, but before doing so, he decides to try hitting the goblin with a small dagger. If it doesn't work, he'll summon them. Hikarin then uses the Earth Wave, while Takagi approaches the goblin to distract it. He gets close and stabs the goblin in the belly with the dagger, killing it instantly. Takagi is very happy with what happened because this is the magical sword called Zarad. Afterward, Takagi and his friends leave the Daimas and sit in a place where Takagi tells them about the sword. Eri comments that she thought it was a steak knife. Takagi explains that he got it as loot from a monster, and this was the first time he used it, so he's very happy at work. Hikarin tells him it was amazing, and she is pleased to know that they can find magical swords as loot from monsters. Then Takagi talks with Moriyama, telling her he's very glad that Snatch is okay and nothing happened to him. She asks him to call her Nico, to which Takagi agrees, mentioning that it's the first time he's seen a companion animal in his life. Miko responds that he hasn't seen one before because servants don't appear on camera, surprising Takagi. Eri then explains that this is why he hasn't seen any pictures or videos of them before. Takagi realizes why the guild employees didn't comment on C and Luceria, which means they are the only ones who know about Snatch. Miko then tells him she got Snatch at an auction and registered him with the guild, so everyone knows about him. Then Miko talks with Hikarin, giving her a medal and telling her that they should put the items they received in their magical bags. Then Eri addresses Takagi, telling him that she talked with Miko and Hikarin, and they all want him to join their team. There are teleportation gates every 5 floors, so their next goal is to reach the second gate located on the 11th floor. Why don't we try together? Takagi responds, but then adds, unlike you, I'm just an ordinary explorer and a secondary character. Eri replies, there's no harm in that. It's not bad to be normal, and we feel safe with you since you're not in a party with anyone else. Takagi responds, they're not ordinary people. They're more like demons. Then he thinks to himself that if people think he's hanging out with 2 little girls, he might get arrested. He tells them he needs some time to think. I'll give you my answer after I talk to someone about it, he says. Eri tells him to let them know when he has an answer. Takagi then goes to the dimes with the girls, and they seem very angry. He asks them, are you in a bad mood? Seal responds, do you want to form a party after abandoning us? You didn't summon us today because you didn't have school. She continues, you should have summoned us this morning. He replies, saying he has his own schedule to follow. Seal retorts, I think we'll be fine if we continue this way. There's no need to increase our numbers. Luceria gets upset when he calls her like that, and he tries to choose a specific name for her, but she refuses. The scene then shifts to Haruka talking to Takagi, asking, did you have dance practice last weekend, or were you training at the gym? He replies, yes, it's possible to do both. She asks if he's free because she wants to go shopping with him. The next day, Takagi goes to meet Haruka, and they go shopping together. On their way, Takagi sees adventurers on TV and looks at them with admiration as they talk about magical seeds, focusing intently. Haruka asks if he's interested in Dumas, and he should forget about them today because he's with her. On their way, Haruka mentions, how long has it been since we went out together? He replies, when we were little, your dad took us everywhere. She says, yes, so let's go watch a movie together. Afterward, they go to a clothing store, and Haruka picks out clothes. Takagi likes everything she wears. Haruka is happy with Takagi's behavior and wants him to choose something for her to buy, which she does. Haruka is very happy and enjoying her time out with Takagi. She then asks him if they can ride the boat, and Takagi is delighted to be with Haruka, hardly believing she's with him. She comments that he seems more fit, possibly due to all the dance and strength training. He replies, yes, it's all thanks to dance and strength training, of course. Then, they go to the train station and Haruka asks Takagi if she can take him to a place she loves. Takagi agrees and they go to this place together. He mentions that a show should start soon and there will be fireworks at night. Haruka then asks about Dimas, wondering if it's near that building because her father is down below. Takagi replies yes. She tells him that her father is down below and once promised her they would have dinner together, but he hasn't come back yet. She said sadly that people haven't entered Dimas. Haruka expresses how much she enjoyed the day and suggests they head home. Takagi thinks to himself, I know you're worried about me, but I want to become a hero like Captain Katsuragi someday. I want to prove it to you. And that's how today's episode of the anime ends. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes, so don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates.